Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to check out a game called Versailles. Now this was a game that I picked up at Essen last year, and I'm just now getting to review, but it's a Euro game. You can kind of tell from the cover of the box that this is going to be a very Euro-y game from NSKN Games. So now this game, you're going to be kind of using your workers in a rondel type scenario in order to take actions, collect goods, and build part of a palace or a courtyard in order to please the king. Before I go too much into it, why don't we just open up the box, we'll take a look at how the game plays, and then we'll come back here at the end and get my opinions on Versailles. So here you can see the components for Versailles all set up for a 3-player game. Now the idea of this game is that the entire board is basically one big rondel that lets you take actions, and depending on how many pieces you have on a space of the rondel, you'll be able to take better actions, but you're not allowed to activate the same place multiple times in a row. Now the real idea is that you're trying to build this palace courtyard or whatever this happens to be in the center in Versailles. So you're all working together using your workers to move around the complex, get resources, get decorations, get specific rooms, and then construct those rooms in the center here in order to get points. So how are you going to do this? Well, on your turn, you're going to move one guy. Now you'll see there are various spaces on the board here. There's a space here called the King's Favour. There's a marble, gold, and wood collection spot. We have an area to purchase rooms, an area to get decorations, an area to get kind of technology advancements, and then the area where we're actually building things. So, on your turn, you're going to move one of your guys, typically. And you would take that guy and you would move him to the next place along the line. And you'll see there are little signs here with directions on them. You can only follow the directions of these signs. So if I wanted to, I can move a guy from here to here. He followed the road, he's good to go. There's nowhere else that this guy can move from this space. When he gets here, I can activate this spot. And I would place my activation marker here to show that this was the last spot I activated. For doing so, I'm going to look and see how many guys I have there and get the appropriate reward. So I have 2 guys, I get 2 marble. There are big and little marble cubes, so make sure you take the right ones, but I get 2 marble. You can use these as 3 or 5 or whatever you want to use them at. But I get 2 marble and I would add that to my supply. Now, if instead of moving one guy, I wanted to move 2 guys, or I wanted to move one guy twice, I can do that, but only up to 2 times while I have these little markers. So once I use a 2 times movement marker, I'm going to flip it over, and I don't have that marker. And you'll note I only have 1 more left for the red player. So I flip that over, and instead of moving this guy once and taking 2 marble, I could have moved him twice and gone to the gold space, now activating that. And you'll see 2 guys gets me 1 gold. So I would take a gold instead, but now I can't activate the gold again by moving this guy here. So that's basically the option. So you can either move 1 guy once, or flip this and move 1 guy twice, or move 2 guys once. So, for example, flipping that over, instead of moving 1 guy 2 spaces, I could have moved 2 guys 1 space along the same route and gotten 3 marble instead of 2. And again, move my activation marker to the right place. Since I can't activate that again, I would, on my next turn, have to move somewhere else. And of course, everyone else would get a turn first, taking their action. So then blue would go, and perhaps they decide to move this guy over here and take 2 wood. And they're going to put that in their own supply. So blue has 2 wood, and red has 3 marble. And they place their activation marker here. And then, of course, green's going to get a turn. And maybe green decides to do the same thing. They also want 2 wood. So they're going to move that there. And they're going to place their activation marker. So, wood works the same way as marble, exactly the same. And gold works very similarly, except for you have to have 1 more guy to get an output than you would if you were getting marble or wood. So, those 3 areas work in the exact same manner. The other areas on the board will work in pretty self-describable manners, but we'll go ahead and cover them anyway. So you have the area over here that's going to let you get rooms. You'll see that there is an outline on the board telling you what having various numbers of guys will let you do and how you do them. So let's cover these real quickly. For spending 1 guy, essentially you're going to total the number of guys you have on the area and then take as many actions as you can using that many guys. So, for example, if I had 1 guy, I could just get rid of 1 of these rooms, throw it away, and everything else would slide down. Of course, making them cheaper to buy. If I had 2 guys, I could get rid of up to 3 of the rooms, throwing them away and having everything else slide down, making it cheaper to buy. Alternatively, instead of doing that, I could spend my 1 guy in order to refresh one of my double movement tokens. So if I'd used 1, I could use a guy there to flip it back over. Of course, I would be moving my activation marker there, making sure I had a guy there, and using that guy to flip this token back over. Alternatively, if I don't want to do any of those things, I can use my guys to buy these rooms, as many as I want to buy, but they don't slide down as you buy them. So for example, I could buy the top one for 2 guys and a gold, the next 2 for 2 guys, and the ones on the bottom for 1 guy apiece. Note, as you're spending these, you're not able to count. For example, if I have 5 guys, I can't do everything that having 5 guys would allow me to do. I'm technically spending them. You can mark them by laying them down, whatever you'd like to do, but I can use up to 5 guys to do 5 guys worth of stuff, not all of the things that 5 guys lets me do. So I know that was worded poorly, but basically having 5 guys doesn't let me take everything. I actually have to be using the guys, so I could take, 2 4-cost things, or 2 2-cost things, and refresh one of my tiles, basically, if I were to have 5 guys there. With 2 guys, I can refresh a tile and get rid of a thing, or buy 2 tiles, whatever I need to do. You can only have 4 of these tiles in front of you, so if you buy a 5th, you must discard 1, get rid of it from your hand, and you can only carry 4. The next area is going to be getting decorations, and some of these tiles, you'll note, have costs in decorations on them. You'll see they have many costs. So for example, this one costs 1 guy to build, not just buy, although he did cost 1 to buy, but it also costs a marble and a wood to build it, and is going to cost you one of these decorations. It's kind of a gold filigree decoration on it, and will be worth 11 points when you build it out into the central courtyard there. So you buy these things, and you of course need to get the goods in order to build them. Getting these decorations, they're all available right here, and depends on the number of guys you have out here and the resources you've accumulated, you can buy the appropriate decorations. So if I needed that gold filigree, I would have to spend, or have 2 guys here and spend 2 gold to buy it and place it in my own area. All of the other decorations may cost more or less. Now, in order to actually build my buildings, I'm going to need to move a guy into the center. So let's say I wanted to build this building here. Again, it's going to cost me the 1 guy I have on there, or the 1 guy I have in the center, a marble and a wood, and the decoration we talked about previously. I would spend all of these things, and then I'm going to have to build this out into the courtyard, matching everything up in order to have it placed out on the board properly. So you'll see that there are walls and interior areas, there's little kind of parks, and so everything has to line up perfectly. For example, like this, the wall matches up with the wall, the park matches up with nothing, which is fine, and the interior of the building matches up with interior. Future tiles must always be placed in a similar manner. You have to match up the features of different tiles that are on the board, and of course make sure that everything fits. I would then score the 11 points that I've marked on this tile, and that would put me, of course, 11 points into the lead at this point for having built a building. So that's how building buildings works, and as long as you have the goods and the resources, as well as the buildings that you've already accumulated, you will be able to build these things out on the board. Of course, having the right number of guys is imperative as well. Now there are 2 more spots on the board. The first is this tech tree, and moving in here and using your guys will allow you to advance in these different tech areas, one of which costs gold, the other ones of which just cost having the appropriate number of guys there. So you can advance on each of these trees. The first one is anytime you get wood, marble, or gold, depending on how far you advance, you're going to get an extra one of those goods. The second tree actually gives you benefits for other people taking actions as long as you have guys there as well. So if anyone activates the wood, marble, or gold areas, as long as you have guys there, you may activate the area as well, using your own guys. So, bonus actions. The last one is going to be getting bonus actions, not bonus goods, but bonus other actions. So you can build decorations, you can go ahead and buy or adjust the tile situation, and you can build buildings out into the courtyard anytime anybody takes those actions, using your own guys in that area. The final spot on the board is the King's Favour, and it's basically a game timer. As you progress along the board, you're eventually going to have to move guys into or past the King's Favour with your double movements. When you move in here, you're going to have the option of refreshing both of your double movement tiles for 1 guy and buying more guys. So you'll see if you have 2 guys here, you can take one of your extra guys from this area. Or if you have 3 guys here, you may take one of your extra guys from this area. And of course, they're in different tracks. You can choose which one you want to do first. But if you were to have 5 guys there, you could take both of them at the same time. And 6 guys would allow you to take both of them and replenish your markers. In addition, anytime you go there or past this area, you're going to move the king 1 step closer to this courtyard. And if he reaches the end, the game will end immediately. The other ways the game can end are if the courtyard is completely built full. Of course, nobody can really do anything. And if this track is ever needed to be replenished, and it replenishes at the end of somebody taking an action there, you would, if you can't replenish it, and you can't make a new stack of 7 tiles from ones that have been discarded, the game will end. So of course you'll have been scoring points in the courtyard throughout the game by building things out here, but at the end of the game you're also going to get a few bonus points. The bonus points you'll get are 3 marble or 3 wood are worth 1 point, while 2 gold is also worth 1 point. If you have palace tiles left over that you haven't built, which of course can be up to 4 of them in your area, they're worth 1 point apiece, and any decoration that you didn't use is worth 3 points. And whoever has the most points through building these things and having leftover resources will be the winner. Well, there you have it. That is Versailles from NSKN Games. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It's kind of a generic Euro to me. I kind of like the idea, and I've seen it in a couple games lately, where the entire board is a rondel, right? You're moving guys around the board, and from that you're taking actions. So a lot of games will have a small rondel, and then a lot more plays out on the board. This one is a very large rondel with multiple pieces moving across it that gives you a few options. And that's the thing. There's really only a few options, and it doesn't branch out more from there. You're pretty limited in what you can do, and that just makes it not that terribly exciting to me. But if you're looking for a good kind of introductory Euro that has the rondel feel to it, I think this would serve that purpose. That's really all I have to say about it. Kind of generic, but probably good for people who aren't real familiar with the genre. So if that sounds good to you, check it out. That is Versailles.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.